I think one's got to realise that WiMAX is not a complete system like GSM. With GSM networks, we sort of see one size fits all, with lookalike services and platforms in all the countries you go to. And as you roam from one country to another with GSM, you know exactly what to expect. WiMAX applications are going to be very, very different. Some countries, such as Bulgaria, where I'm working at the moment, have a very broad spectrum of opportunities. A country with low DSL penetration, with relatively low mobile penetration, with quite expensive unrebalanced telephone calls, telephone call charges, and that sort of thing. So we clearly have a large spectrum of business opportunities we can address. If you're looking, for example, at the UK, where you have a license that does not include mobility, then you're going head-to-head against an entrenched PTT who has got mature DSL systems, and you're in a straight commercial fight. So the models are very different depending on the country, the licensing regime, and the general economic conditions of the country that you're facing. It's a technology which has developed very much on its own. People who are into disruptional business tactics have grabbed on this as a way, for example, to reach the local loop, which a lot of incumbents are sitting on, and in many places still unbundled. It is not something which has been produced by great commissions of learned bodies as a global solution for something. It is something that's developed and is fighting its own way into the market. Having said that, there's a lot of technology which is fighting its way into the market at the moment, but it really does seem that WiMAX, in its various variations, does have application and can make a sound business plan. Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is one's got to realise with notebooks is the average lifetime of a notebook is about 3 years. So even if the Rosedale 2 chip or whatever's going to provide this capability to us starts to appear in laptops, say, the middle of next year, it's going to be 3 years after that before we have a significant penetration of notebook-enabled, WiMAX-enabled notebooks, which actually means the key product is going to be the PCMCIA card or a USB port device of one sort or another. Clearly, having these things built in has a major impact on the network operator, because it actually means the customer pays the cost of the CPE in buying his notebook, rather than us having to provide that for him and maybe subsidize it or something like that, depending on the commercial model. We have a broad spectrum approach. We will be majoring on VoIP applications and personal broadband. The key model I like to see is with a WiMAX system, you have one subscription to a network provider rather than three. Otherwise, you pay at home, you pay in the office, and you pay when you're in a hotel or when you're in a Wi-Fi pay zone. Having said that, and having said that WiMAX is just an access technology, you can't talk about WiMAX by itself, and you've got to consider what your core technology is going to be. And in our case, we're actually investing as much money in the core network as we are in the wireless initially, so that we have a full IMS-capable core with billing, with customer service systems. The WiMAX for us is merely the first in a number of access technologies we're looking at, and we'll be looking at other applications of our core to other methods of access as well. I think 2.5 band is really, really very interesting, because clearly once we see most of that in the USA, that is a far more appropriate band for mobility. But for us to actually buy a second license with 2.5 would be quite a tough thing for us to chew in Bulgaria. But what I think is interesting about the 2.5 is the question of roaming, because we have a lot of networks in Europe now which are 3.5, which are barred from roaming, so because of the contention with high GSM license prices which have gone out. And so if one is looking at for WiMAX roaming, 2.5 may be the area you have to roam into. And so I rather suspect that the future mobile handset may actually be dual band capable, 2.5 and 3.5, and maybe roaming between 3.5 networks with mobility might be achieved first with the USA rather than countries in Europe which are 16D enabled. And in particular, I think the key thing with WiMAX, it actually allows us to apply for the first time the new business model of telecommunications, which is for subscription-based service rather than transaction-based. And that is something which the incumbents just aren't ready for. Fixed mobile convergence is a very, very interesting subject. I mean, everyone talks about it. You don't actually see too many applications of it. I actually believe everything will eventually slide into mobility, and the fixed applications will, by definition, become mobile. As I said, with the basic WiMAX data offering, one subscription, you're on the air in the office, you're on the air at home, and you're on the air when you're travelling in between. I mean, that is classic fixed mobile convergence, if you like.